Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Starting to get prepped for my next event on Lake Eufaula. When you see this, I'll probably be at Lake Eufaula. But one of the things I know right now is they're getting a lot of rain in that region. The lake is really muddy right now, and I'm expecting it to be full of mud when I get there. But I gotta tell you, the water temps as of today, so we're about a week early, are 58 degrees. A lot of fish are still gonna be pre-spawn. A lot of fish are gonna be moving up into their spawning areas. And by the time the tournament starts, it would not surprise me if we've got a major wave of spawning fish. But in the meantime, one of the best baits to kind of track them as they move shallow and move into their spawning areas is a crankbait. So your square bills, flat side, shallow running cranks, that's what I am fully expecting to be using a lot of at Lake Eufaula. So I've got here, I want to share with you 5 baits I'm going to put on my rods to start practice with. These are 5 of my favorite muddy water crankbaits. These are the specific colors as well as the baits. So I want to go over why I like the color, why I like the bait, and why I think these baits are going to help me at Lake Eufaula. Now, I'm going to point out that if you're interested in any of these or a similar color in any of these, I'll put links to all these up at Tackle Warehouse. They'll be in the video description for you. And hopefully, by the time the tournament's over, I can tell you which one specifically really caught them good for me and maybe even brought home the win. You never know. All right, so let's start this off. I'm going to start off this one with one that I've talked about on the channel quite a bit. This is just one of my, like, a go-to for me anytime I'm fishing dirty water. This is the Duo Realis M62. So this is the 5A version. It's a little bit smaller. This is just the chartreuse blue back. What I really like about this bait is it's got a very toned down blue back. It's a very solid, kind of pale down chartreuse. It shows up extremely well in muddy water. It's just got the right hue. It almost creates like a glow, and it's a wide wobbling bait. It deflects off cover real well. It's got a nice single thump rattle in it. Very, very good bait for muddy water conditions. This is a bait I was turned on to when Roy Hawk had a really good tournament at Lake Martin in Alabama, fishing it, beating the bank with it, and fishing in some of the muddiest water he could find, which was about as muddy as you'd find anywhere. Ever since then, which that was probably, I'm gonna say 5 years ago at this point, I have make sure this is one of my muddy water baits. It's just a good crankbait all around, and it's one that very rarely lets me down. I've had great success with it on Grand Lake in muddy water, which is just down the road from Lake Eufaula, not too far away. So I don't know why it won't work at Lake Eufaula when I get there. Another one, and this one might throw you off a little bit. This is the Rapala DT6 in the Demon color. Uh, this bait doesn't make any sound. It's a silent bait, doesn't create a ton of water vibration, but the DT6 is a fish catching fool. We know that. And there's something special about the Demon color, again, in muddy water. For me, the color is a very big important when I'm talking about muddy water. I want something that creates almost a glow in the water that allows the fish to track it really well, because that's one of the issues. A lot of times the fish feel your bait, but if they can't see it, they swipe at it and they miss it. So you get a lot of bumps. If you've got the right color that allows them to track it faster, you get better connects. And the Demon color in a DT6 is a great one. It's a great bait. Like Eufaula, there's a lot of riprap, a lot of bridges, and we know that this bait in this color is a great one for fishing around riprap and bridges. And therefore, I'm tying this little guy on. Hopefully, it will catch me some fish. Next up, we're going to go with one of my favorite crankbaits going right now. This is the Money Badger. This is the 6.25 size by Berkeley. This bait is catching fish everywhere. It's a top seller on Tackle Warehouse right now, and generally that means it's because it's a fish producing fool. This is the root beer craw color. Let me just confirm that. Yep, root beer craw. And it's got a similar look to spring craw, but it's got a little bit darker of a green back on it, and it just seems to generate a lot of strikes. The reason I really like this bait for muddy water, and this is something that I've kind of deduced when fishing the river that I live on, which gets muddy all of the time, it's the wide wobbling sound to it. You know, this is one of those wiggle wart style baits, so it has great hunting action, but man, it has real wide movements, creates a lot of water disturbance. And this bait dives down closer to like that 10-foot mark, which is really nice, especially if I have some channel swing banks, a little bit deeper bank. Maybe you've got some quicker falling off riprap. And that's where I would expect this Berkeley Money Badger to come into play. This guy caught me a bunch of fish at Clark's Hill in the mud, and I would expect it to do the same at Lake Eufaula for me. Next up, we're going to go with a square bill. This is the Crush 100 by 6 cents, the 100X. This is the black magic color, which is one of the main reasons I love it. In muddy water, a black crankbait can be a very, very good color to throw. The unfortunate thing about black is it's tough to find. So when I saw that 6 cents makes the black magic color, I bought myself a bunch of these. And I've learned through fishing, again, my river as well as the Mississippi River, that when it gets muddy, it's hard to beat a black crankbait. So I'm definitely going to have this black magic tied on. This bait runs down to about 5 feet. Again, it's not a super loud bait, but does have a good rattle in it. It does make a little bit of sound, and therefore it's just going to be a good transitional bait for me to fish those areas that are relatively shallow, where I'm expecting fish to be setting up to move up to spawn. Now, to counter this, because this one isn't some big, loud, brash square bill, the other one I'm going to have tied on is the Berkeley Square Bull. This is the 7.5. So this one dives down into that 5, 6, even maybe a little bit deeper range. But the reason I want this is because this is much more of a brash square bill. It has much louder sound to it, really wide wobbling motion, deflects really good off cover, and I know I'm going to be fishing a lot of bushes, a lot of rock, probably a lot of docks. Whatever I come in contact with, this is a great bait for deflecting, and it's just kind of a complete change of pace to the Crush, meaning this is a black bait. Here I've got the sexier shad color, which again is a very good color in dark water. And it's just like, this is more of a finesse square bill, not finessey really, but from a sound standpoint and the wobbling standpoint, I've got one that's not as crazy. This one's a lot crazier in the water, and therefore hopefully I'll be able to figure out which one they like. But in either case, I love both of these for deflecting off a lot of that shallow cover that I know I'm going to be fishing around. So those are the 5 crankbaits that I'm going to have tied on to start. Who knows? Maybe I won't have a crankbait on to fish the tournament. Maybe these will be the only crankbaits I have tied on. Maybe I'll have these crankbaits in a different color tied on. I can't tell you yet until I get there. But these are the baits I'm starting with because I know I'm going to have muddy water. And I'm excited to get there. I'm excited to hopefully have a good tournament. Just found out today I'll have a camera boat with me on day 1. So maybe I'll try to release this before the tournament so that you guys can make sure to watch me on live TV. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned. New video coming out tomorrow.